We are now live and recording, so thank you very much for your patience, everyone. And I see we do have another attendee, so that's great. And I'm going to step through a few slides on CP Studio and Silex software just to give you an introduction to the company before we get into creating some baselines and working with those baselines in CP Studio. Silex Software was founded in 2003. As you can see, we're a founding member of the System Center Alliance, and we're also a Microsoft Gold partner. Over the years, we're into our 13th year now, our solutions have grown to include many powerful features such as authoring, auditing, management, reporting, as well as the ability to test or simulate management packs and configuration baselines through a sophisticated testing feature. The products today include MP Studio for managing the lifecycle of management packs. So if you're working with Operations Manager, you would potentially be interested in that. And we also have a free product called MP Author used for authoring management packs, very popular tool. CP Studio is the application we'll be looking at today, and CP Studio is used for authoring baselines, and those are for being consumed in Configuration Manager. So if you're using DCM or desired state monitoring now or plan to in the near future, then CP Studio is definitely a tool you'll be interested in. Silex Software also offers services. These include Power BI dashboard reporting. So this is relatively new, and but we've certainly been working with Microsoft and since the earliest versions of Power BI, and we've developed some significant expertise in that field, and we can help with any dashboard reporting requirements you have. We also offer services in the Operations Manager and Configuration Manager space, doing things like authoring management packs or baselines or helping with reporting, as well as other things in that area. In terms of customers, Silex has over 5,000 users of our applications worldwide. And this just gives you a peek at some of those clients, from big oil companies to banking, insurance, and retail, automotive, a wide variety of clients, which means we get great feedback on our applications, and we're happy to take that feedback and roll it into exciting new and useful features in our applications. So CP Studio is for authoring baselines. If you've got settings management used in SCCM 2012 or desired state monitoring if you're still running SCCM 2007. With CP Studio, you can author your own baselines leveraging the Golden Master Wizard. So we'll take a look at that Golden Master Wizard in the demonstration, where you can actually browse out to an application server on your network and literally copy all the settings that you need to be included in your baseline. After authoring the baseline, taking a first run at it, that application could be still dynamic and evolving, and you know, you're setting that box up, and so the baseline is changing as well. And so as you develop that baseline, you probably need to constantly test it and tune it prior to putting it out there in deployment. Once you do have the baselines ready, using CP Studio, you can export it right up to your SCCM server, or you can create a CAB file and save that for later use. CP Studio does have a database backend for version control and auditing in scenarios where you've got multiple team members working on a baseline or making edits. As that life cycle continues, all that is being tracked in the CP Studio database. So you can generate audit histories and export to Excel and document the changes, and that's very useful for change management. If you're going to make a significant change in production, it'd be nice to have a spreadsheet that you can share with, say, a change management group or even to your manager, and just show, okay, here's the changes we made. We went from a Rev 1 to a Rev 2 in this particular application, the service pack was added, etc. All that'll be nicely presentable in a spreadsheet. Okay, so I've mentioned that we support both SCCM 2007 and 2012, all with the same version of CP Studio. So no need to switch between two different versions of CP Studio. Okay, that's it for slides. And we're going to now switch to the CP Studio console. And once again, if you have any questions, you're welcome to use the question option in the GoToWebinar. And there will be a short survey pop up after the webinar closes, and you'll also receive some information about that survey in an email afterwards. So just want to make sure I mention that. Okay, so here's our main console. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by running the wizard, the Golden Master Wizard. And so I need to choose a place, and I've created a folder in the store database with my name so I can store all my baselines here. And you can see in the table of contents down the left side, there's only a few steps to get started here, and this wizard will guide you through it all. It's not rocket science, we'll just step through the wizards. So the first option is whether or not I want to use my local machine as we select various things that we'll use as configuration items, or do I want to browse to a machine on the network? In most cases, you're probably browsing out to a machine on your network that's hosting that application, and so you want to use that to get the option to copy all the CI types that you're going to use. In my case, I'll just use my local machine, but it will look just like this when you browse out to the server on your network. So what I need to do now is just check the options that I want. So I'm going to include all configuration items here. I can choose whether or not I want to scan for the operating system. We'll leave that checked by default, and then you have the option to scan for applications. You could check for the existence only. However, you can go in and look for specific application details, including file details or folder details. You might want to check for the existence of a folder, or go in to look at specific options to validate that folder, such as the date created, so on and so forth. So lots of flexibility and granularity here. You can check for the file existence, or you can go in and say, you know what, I want to validate certain things like company, product, the size of the file or version. For the purposes of our demo, we'll stick with simply checking for the existence of applications. And if I had a group policy running here, we would be able to scan the local group policy settings and pick and choose which policies I want to include. Unfortunately, I won't have any policies appear, but we'll leave that checked and proceed. Okay, so it's found the operating system. We've got Windows 10 Enterprise here, and we can see the version and build number, etc. We'll include that in our baseline. Select next. It's now scanning for my policy, and unfortunately I don't have anything on the local computer that we could add, but in your case you're probably running this on a domain, and you would have lots of information there you could select from as well. Okay, so we found a list of all the applications, and I just need to check the ones that I want to be included in this baseline. So let's see if I can find something interesting in here to include. Perhaps I'll go with MP Author. It's another one of our applications here. So I've checked that. Let's see, maybe also I'll add in here, what have we got? Maybe I've got, yeah, that's good. We'll just leave it at 1 for now. Okay, I need to give this a baseline name. Let's call this MP Author, seeing as how that's what I had picked in my application list. I could give it a description. And select next. Okay, so that's very typical of what we're going to do, stepping through the wizards, select the items or values that we want to include in our baseline. And here's our baseline in the designer window, and on the right-hand side we've got our properties view edit, and now we can continue to add things to this baseline. I'm just going to expand the folder. We've got this stored in, and I called that MP Studio. I meant to call that MP Author, but I'm sure you get the idea. And let's just take a look at adding to this baseline now that we've got started. Okay, so you'll see from the options in the context menu that I can add some additional required applications. I could add a prohibited application, optional applications. I could also add some general settings. So let's see if we can find a prohibited application here. We don't want to do that manually, but you could if you had to. We'll use the builder instead, and this is again just going to discover what's on my machine or a machine on the network. I'm sure I've got something here I can use as a prohibited application. Okay, so let's pick iTunes, say okay. So we've just added a prohibited application. Notice in that right-hand side, that properties, you have an option to come in here and edit things after you've added them. So if you know that you're going to eventually make a change, for example, to a version number, maybe the iTunes would be a version, you might want to increment that because you're deploying something newer, or likewise with any of the applications. Here, let's work with MP Author, and just for fun, I'm going to modify the version here. Let's change the 3 to a 4. Just for fun. So we've edited a version, and I'm just going to click and save that change. So I've got the Save MP Author baseline, clicked on Save. And let's take a look at some of the other items we can add now. Once again, using the context menu, let's add a general settings. And then from here, I can start adding more granular CI types, if I can call it that. So here you can see some of the options. I can add any of these: file object, folder object, registry settings, SQL, WMI, Active Directory, XPath, script, group policy, and so on. So lots of flexibility here. We're going to add a few of these. I won't demonstrate adding all of them. There are some other features I want to make sure we save some time and share a little bit there. Let's do this for the fun of it. We'll add a file object, and I'm going to use my local machine. And I'm just going to browse out here into program files. Let's go into the Select folder. I might want to create a CI type for a license. I know the license is kept in the v6 folder. Let's just see if we can't find that. Okay, so here's my license file, and it would probably have a more generic name, but you get the idea. I'm going to add a file object. Okay, so let's add a couple more general settings. Let's try something a little more interesting. This time I'm going to add a registry setting. So you have an option to manually add that, but why would you if you can browse out to the server on your network? In my case, I'll use my local machine. And in here, we can just simply start clicking through HKey local machine. Let's go into software, see what we have here. And I can just pick the entire MP Studio key, although that doesn't have anything in it. So let's find something else. iTunes, okay. So I've added the version number here. I could have gone in and just added that whole key. Click OK. And just like that, we've added all those registry CI types. So notice again on the right-hand side in my properties view edit, anything that's bold in there, you could edit. So you might want to go in and change a description name. Just to give you an idea. So you can change those things. Let's add another CI type. Let's add a WMI setting. Once we've completed this, we will go in and test the baseline. Okay, so we'll look for Win32 service. Let's retrieve that. You'll notice now up in step 2 in the upper right hand side, we're discovering everything under there, all the Win32 services. And I just need to follow the steps. Step 1, we've selected the namespace / class. Then we need to select the record. And to complete building our query, we need to both check a property and then highlight the property whose value needs to be verified. So what I'm going to do, I'll just scroll to the right, and we're going to look for one of the select services. Scrolling down. I must have went right by it. Try this again. Okay, here's the select testing service. Now I just need to complete the query and check one of these properties. So let's see, let's find the display name, or let's see what else we have. Sure, why not? Let's go with the display name. And I still need to highlight the property whose value needs to be verified. Okay, I'm going to change that up. I'm going to go with name instead of display name. And we'll verify the start mode by highlighting that. So you can see now we've got the query. I just need to add that in order to complete the process. Click on OK, and there's our WMI query setting. So we want to make sure we save these changes. And let's take a look. Sorry, here's the current one. I need to check this into the database. Okay, we're going to check it out one more time. So as a best practice, after making changes to that baseline, make sure you save your changes, check it into the into the store database. We'll check it out for editing now. Okay, so now that we've authored this baseline, we've got a copy in the database. Perhaps you've realize you want to make some more changes to this, and let's just add one more setting. I'll randomly pick a folder object, and let's go with program files, select MP Studio, good enough. So we've added one more thing, and I'm just doing that because I want to have a second copy in the database. We've saved our changes. Let's check that in. You can see here, this is a preview of the audit history. So we've got a previous value and a new value in multiple cases, and we'll complete that check-in. Okay, now we're finished this baseline, but we're not quite ready to push this up into our SCCM environment. But if we were, this is how you would do it. Just a right click, specify your server name and necessary credentials in order to push that up to your SCCM server. The other options in here to save this as a cab file to the appropriate version, and then you can bring that into your SCCM environment for use. What we want to do first as a best practice, however, is to test this baseline. So we'll right click on the baseline, choose test. This launches the test wizard. Okay, so we'll need to specify exactly which of these baselines we want to include in the test. So you could test more than one at a time if you wish. We're just going to test the one we just created. Now I need to specify a server on my network. In that case, I would add the domain name computer as well as the username and password to connect to that box. I'm just going to run this test against my local box. Select next. Okay, and we'll leave that into my test results folder. So you can specify a different folder if you have different users working with the product and doing your own tests. You might want to have a dedicated folder. That's it. This test is ready to run. There's a description in here you can edit. So the policy is being tested. That's complete now. I'll select OK. And here's the test results for our baseline. You can see some colors in there, give you a pretty good idea where we've passed and failed. Probably in a more real world scenario, you're going to have a lot more to your baseline when you test it. And so you might want to come into this test results report and customize this a little bit more. You could do things like hiding columns. For example, I know what computer I've run this against, so I might want to hide that column. You can then drag any of these column headings up into the left-hand corner in order to group by that. So let's see what makes sense. Even configuration result. So if you don't want to see all the ones that passed, you just want to focus on what failed, this would be a very quick way to do that. So we know what actually happened here. I modified the version of iTunes. And so it's picked up on that. Let's now demonstrate another option in terms of reporting. If you want to document this, you can just use the copy paste, or another option would be to select the entire baseline or the entire table and right click and export that to Excel. So you can document this test results. Okay. Just want to scroll to the right a little bit here because we're not seeing that entire report, but you can see in this particular case, what have we got? There's the setting result, the value obtained. There's your rule name. And here's a column I wanted to show you. Here's the value found column, okay. Very good. Now, let's say that application is modified over time. You've added service packs, or you've modified the hardware or what have you, and so you need to update your baseline. Let's take a look at doing that. And instead of starting from scratch and creating a new baseline, you can simply work with your existing baseline. Here's the one we had been working with. We hired a consultant to come in and upgrade that box and tune it a little bit more. So now I want to also tune my baseline. So right-clicking on the baseline name, simply choose, actually I'm going to open this first. Okay, now we'll choose to update. And again, I could point it on any system on my network. I'm going to use my local machine. And this is just running a live test against that, and you'll see at the bottom, it's providing some indications where things failed. Okay, so at this point, and again, you might have a lot more CIs in here, and you could have many that fail, but in this particular case, I've just got the one. If I had more of them, I could click on any one of them, and it would expand the baseline and highlight the one that is not conforming to the server that you just ran that update against. Okay, and in this case, we know what we did. We made some edits in here. That's a prohibited application. Okay, the one more thing I'd like to share with you is the audit history. So we can come in after having added several versions of the baseline, we can come in and just simply right click on it and view the audit history or the version history. Okay, it did not like that. Let's take one more shot at doing that. I have a feeling that might be because I have the baseline checked out. Let's check that in. Okay, we'll try one more time to share the audit history with you. And it looks like we're not going to do that. So let's make the most of it while we've got this error message up here. We have some very useful log files. Now I'm not going to go in and troubleshoot and try to solve this myself, but I would like to demonstrate viewing the log file. So here's the log file. You've got options to either hide or display the status, etc., normal messages. So if we just select these, uncheck them, now we can focus in and see warning messages, exceptions, etc. So let's see, okay, object reference not set to an instance of an object. I have no idea what that means, so I apologize, I can't actually troubleshoot that for you right now. Okay, once again, if you have any questions, you're welcome to enter those in the chat window. I do see there's at least one question. I'll take a look myself right now. And another question, not really related. Do you have the high trust for HIPAA? Will you be doing anything like this? So, I feel safe in answering this for you. I would say at some point in the future, definitely look for SILAC to expand our capabilities with respect to working and helping our customers with compliance. So CP Studio, the product that we're looking at here today, will be investing heavily in CP Studio and other products in order to deliver things like our high trust solution for HIPAA as well. So I do see that question there, and hopefully that gives you some information, and we'd be happy to sit down one-on-one and demonstrate that application for you as well. So thank you for that question. Okay, on that note, I am going to let you know that I'll stop the recording. I'm happy to take a couple of minutes and stay on the call. And if you have any questions, if there's anything particular you'd like to see, I can walk through that in more detail. So we will stop the recording.